Right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. We are live on the HWPO podcast. We are live on YouTube. So if you are listening to this after the fact, go back and subscribe to YouTube so that you can get in on these live chats and see it as it all goes down. Chat along with us. But my guest today is from HWPO Training, Jake Marconi. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me, Wex. There's some drilling going on in the background, so if you hear that, that's what that is.
It's all good.
Just a little buzzing.
I have two kids in the other room over here, so there's a good chance that at some point in this interview, somebody's going to come and hit the door.
Great. So we'll both be noisy.
Yeah, it'll be noisy. It'll be good. We'll be loud. But man, how you doing? We're getting into game season. I just talked to O'Keefe just the other day, and I know things are, I guess, controlled chaos at the moment. Like you know what you're doing, but it's just getting everything ready.
He likes to say it's controlled chaos. It's pretty chaos, but we are controlling what we can. No, we're definitely in the peak of games training. We're pretty close. So we've got a bunch of athletes out here in Vermont. Some people are in town to just like really be another body to help out these guys that are training for the games. So some folks who haven't even made it, myself, Josh, the team, we'll jump in on workouts. Last night, I took them out on two road bike rides. So we did 2 loops. And Steve, who runs our pro program, he's competing in the Masters.
Okay.
He took a year and did cycling pretty much exclusively. Like he was a cyclist for a year. And yesterday he came up to me in the afternoon and he goes, "Hey man, you're going to have to take them on both rides." And I was like, all right. So we geared up and we went on back-to-back rides, but we've got a lot going on. There's a ton of training. We've got people in the building all day long. There's a lot of cleaning going on in the gym from how much they're using it, but hopefully it'll all pay off next week or week and a half from now.
Week and a half, yeah. The countdown is on. I guess they'll get started. They get started on Thursday, so I guess 2 weeks from today.
Yep.
They actually the games start if nothing else, gets dropped or announced. Beforehand.
Yeah, we're about 14 days out.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be there. I'll be on site. I know you'll be on site. Who are you coaching? Like, are you assigned? Because I know, I think O'Keefe said that Matt is assigned to Katrin, but I know you guys work as a team. Is there somebody you're assigned to?
It's cool. It's grown over the last couple of years. We all work really collaboratively on each athlete, but we all kind of have it's almost like a football team system, right? You've got like your head coach and then you've got your support staff for each person. And so for me, that's Jayson Hopper. I'm full-time on Jayson. I'm with him at every event. We competed against each other in the teams at Wadapalooza, but otherwise, I'm on his coach's band for each event.
Nice. And so tell people a little bit about your role with HWPO Training. Because you are your head of training?
Head of programming, coaching.
Head of programming.
Yeah. So it's changed over time. I came in and I started just testing out the program for Matt. So I had told him that I was going to jump on the program when he released it. And he messaged me. He was like, "Why don't you test it for me instead?" And so I started testing the programming, giving a ton of feedback, probably way more than he actually wanted. And then I wrote some pieces for it, started with some warm-ups, and then I wrote some Metcons for it. Then from there, it evolved into writing everything with Matt, and then moving up to Vermont and jumping in with both feet. I trained with Mal for a season because I knew that was going to be kind of my last go at individual.
Okay.
As far as like the near future is concerned, I was like, I'm just all set. And so trained with Mal, and then from there it evolved into, I was coaching Jayson from the beginning as well. So I came on board, started coaching Jayson, writing the programming, moved up to Vermont. And then just as the company's grown over the last year and a half, my role has evolved to, I manage our group of coaches that all have programs with us, write some programming, coach some athletes. We built the gym here. So if there's a hat, we all pretty much internally can put it on.
That's awesome. And I'm sure that takes up pretty much most of your time as far as that doesn't sound like a kick back and just let it run itself sort of thing. It seems like you're not every day all in.
Yep.
What's been your favorite part about, kind of getting into the program and kind of actually, let me back that up because I wanted to find out, where are you from originally?
From Connecticut originally.
Okay.
So I grew up in like north central Connecticut, right at the top, might as well have been Massachusetts. on a little horse farm there in a small town, and then moved to Rhode Island for college. So I went to Providence, and then
Yep.
I consider that home now. But I had started training when I was like 12 or 13, so I've been nerding out on it ever since.
Started doing CrossFit training
No,
or
so I
just
started
training
with
in general?
just like my first foray into training was I had told my dad, I was like a chubby kid, not very tall, so it wasn't very helpful. Um, I had told my dad, I was like, hey, I don't want to be chubby or fat anymore. And when I would come home from school, he was very rarely ever home until late because he was a carpenter. So he was always working. And for like 6 months, I didn't think about this in the moment, but as I've told this story in hindsight, he made sure he was home when I would get home from school. And I'd come in the door and he'd be like, all right, 20 push-ups. And I'd do 20 push-ups. He'd be like, all right, we're going to go do a wall sit. And for an hour and a half, we would do just calisthenics around the house. I was doing like box jumps onto my parents' bed. He was having me do like high knees in place, wall sits, and he did a lot of it with me. And then from there, he handed me this like yellow, crusty, laminated piece of paper that was his workout. And it was like 3 sets done as a circuit of pretty much every movement you could think of. So it was like bench press, chest fly, lunge, barbell row, dumbbell fly. Like there was maybe 10 or 12 movements on it. So you did it on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And on Mondays and Fridays, you did it for 3 sets of 8 to 12. And then on Wednesdays, you did it for 3 sets of 20.
Nice.
Same exact workout,
Yeah.
3 times a week. And then so I did that for a while. And then I kind of got into reading online, like Elite FTS, T Nation, anywhere there was powerlifting going on, I got into that. And then I competed in powerlifting for a little bit through high school and started doing CrossFit, started training at a CrossFit gym halfway through high school. It was just a local affiliate. I was training so I got really into strength training and I was training my football team.
Okay.
So I was playing football and then all the guys would come over to my house and we'd work out together. And so I was training them and I reached out to this local CrossFit gym, Land Warrior CrossFit. And I was like, hey, can we use your space? And they said, sure, but who's going to coach you? And I said, I am. And they were like, no, you're not. And so they gave us 2 classes a week. That was like a football specific class. And that's when I kind of jumped into CrossFit.
Okay. So I mean, as far as the start, hold on, I got kids knocking at the door. Hold on one second.
You're good.
Yeah, he's good. So, I was going to ask you, like, what kind of sports did you play growing up? Obviously football. Did you play any other sports as well?
Yeah. So when I was 8 or 9, I played soccer and like t-ball, all the normal sports. And my mom was my coach for all of them. And I hated being told what to do. And I hated that my mom was my coach. It was awesome in hindsight, right? I got to spend a lot of time with her. But at the
that
time,
being said, I'm a t-ball coach.
Yeah, so
for
I
my
played
kids.
t-ball, and I just like, man, I couldn't stand it. And not only like my mom being my coach was not the big problem. I just hated it. I could not see the point. It was boring. Like I really, really didn't like it. And I told my mom that, and she was like, "That's fine. When you end this season, you don't have to come back. Like we don't have to play again next year." And she honored that, and so I didn't. And I think the next season I tried out for basketball, and we did this like big hours jamboree, and they put you on teams. And then I didn't want to go to my first practice. And my mom said, if you don't go to the first practice, you don't get to play ever. Like you're not playing this season.
Yeah.
And I called her bluff, but she wasn't bluffing. So I never played basketball, which is evidence now we have a hoop in the gym and I'm so bad at it. But after that, I got really into BMX racing and riding bikes.
Oh, cool.
And so I did that through middle school up to early high school. And then I started playing some sports after I started working out.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So, and that's cool that your mom kind of had that line in the sand that she had to draw. I'm the same way with my kids. I'm like, you can do anything that you want, but once you start, you have to at least finish. You know, you made a commitment, you signed on for the season. My daughter, who does CrossFit now, she played baseball for excuse me, she played baseball for 2 seasons, and midway through the second season, she just wasn't liking it. I'm like, okay, cool. After this season, you don't have to come back, but you have a team. you have people that count on you. You're going to play out the
You
season,
got to
and
finish it
then
out.
then after that, cool, whatever you want to do after that. And she does CrossFit, gymnastics, and she's currently into WWE. So
Oh,
she
dude,
is.
I loved WWE.
Are you into WWE?
Not now, but as a
Oh
kid,
man,
like I had like a group of 5 guys, and we all had trampolines, and we had like a wrestling league. We had all the belts.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
So I of course I grew up and I watched it, a little bit as a kid. I was into Hulk and all that sort of, Hulkamania and all that sort of
Yep.
thing, and you grow up, you lose touch, you kind of get out of it. Well, my daughter getting into it, probably 6 to 8 months ago, I started sitting down and watching it with her because I'm like, okay, cool. It's some bonding time. We can sit down, we can watch some wrestling. And now I
Yeah.
find myself every, Monday and Friday night watching Raw and SmackDown with her.
Yeah, you're into it.
And now I'm into it. I'm like, oh man, like the storylines are amazing. And it's really cool to kind of share that with her. And I got to take her and my oldest son. I have 4 kids. So our 2 middles, we call them,
Hmm.
the younger daughter and the older son. I took them to Monday Night Raw when it was here in Jacksonville, and we got to sit down like pretty close, like not front
Yeah.
row, but like that lower bowl level, like at the
Yep. Where
front of
you're
the
on the
bowl
floor
level.
there.
Not quite on the floor, just off the floor so that they can
Okay.
see, but like that lower bowl area
Yep.
of the arena. And we got to sit there and watch, and we had Seth Rollins comes out, who's a big CrossFitter,
He
so
is.
we're also a huge fan of him because of that.
That's awesome.
Becky Lynch had returned that night, obviously, they're together, and just we had a great time, just cutting it up, doing WWE. But that's like the new thing I'm in.
That's so fun. It would be fun to like be back into it for some cool reason like that.
Yeah. So it's been a cool bonding time, and I've since gotten to like actually MC some wrestling events for like just local,
Like some local stuff.
yeah,
That's
local
cool.
gymnasium stuff, and it's been a blast. I got to take her with me and have fun. So I'm trying to talk them into. I'm like, listen, I'm in shape. I can take a bump. I
Yeah,
want to get.
let
Let
me
me get in.
wrestle.
Let me get in. I want to get in on, even if not a whole match, just like while I'm emceeing, have somebody come and interrupt, and
And you go
do
for it, dude.
get
That
a
would be really
get a
cool.
little tussle, throw somebody out of the ring, whatever, just have some fun with it. Um, so yeah, I-
That would
I'm
be awesome.
I'm down with wrestling now. So apparently I'm all into the
I mean, I
WWE.
get it. Like it's pure entertainment. They've got
Yeah.
storylines. They've got it all.
Oh, the storylines are fantastic. Like you know, she never makes it through the whole night. She's 10, so she gets to about 9:30, and she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go to bed." She's like, "Tell me what happens in the morning." So then in the morning we do the little download and like recap
That's
everything.
so
And
funny. When I was 10, I was fighting tooth and nail not to go to bed.
well, she's like when she's done, she's done.
That's
Like
it. It's over. Yeah.
yeah, like she'll be sitting there on the couch and just falling asleep, and I'm like, Just go ahead to bed." And she does. She usually will fight and try and stay up as late as she can. But
Okay.
yeah, she's she knows when she's done. When she can't sit there and watch it. But yeah, the next day we'll do the whole recap and be like, "Oh, this person came out and this person, turned on this person, and they, this one came out of the crowd and out of nowhere." And it was just, get to tell the whole story. So it's fun.
You're staying up later than you want
I
to,
am. I am.
because you're into it. Yeah.
Because I'm into it, and then of course I've got a responsibility to tell my kid the next day.
Right.
Yeah, but she'll watch it on YouTube. But the cool thing is like the things that she's into is she watches, of course all the WWE stuff, but she loves the Buttery Bros.
Mm.
So we'll sit down and watch all the Buttery Bro episodes, which is where she started getting into CrossFit. She actually started following CrossFit at like 4 years old. Um,
Wow.
we did our first, team competition as a father-daughter team at a local comp that we do like a family division, and she just wanted to do it. We knew we weren't going to win, but we just went out there and,
Yeah.
and
Just
and did
go
it.
for it.
So she's very passionate about it, and she started following all the athletes. And at Wadapalooza, basically she knows everybody and everybody knows her now. So at 10 years old, she's got, Katrin coming up and talking to her and be like, "Hey, Stella, you've got a lot bigger than last time I saw you." Amanda as well.
Those two are
So
awesome.
they are awesome. So got to chat with both of them, at Wadapalooza, and we went up to, actually we originally met them at CrossFit New England.
Okay.
A couple of years ago. So they like follow along with her and stuff. So it's been pretty cool.
That's fun.
But with everything you have going, you move up to Vermont. You said you made a last run at the individuals for the games, transitioning over to kind of that full time coach role. Are you thinking about going back in, and competing at all with other things, or just like Wadapalooza stuff? Or
Yeah, I mean, so I enjoy the. I've never been the biggest fan of like competing. It's in anything.
yeah,
I'm a competitive person for sure. But even when I played football, even when I was racing BMX was probably the one thing that I was the most stoked on competitively. And I think part of that was because I was young and just like really angry. And so if I came across and I didn't take first, I would just go straight to the car, put my stuff in the car, and like sit and wait until we left.
yeah,
I'm not like that at all anymore, but it made the competitive aspect a little bit more fun because I was super amped on it.
yeah.
But I love training. I like the environment. And so I'll definitely do like Team Wadapalooza. There's a ton of competitions in Europe that are fun,
Oh
team
yeah,
competitions. So I'll do some of those. That stuff I'll continue to do so long as I am capable of doing the movements. But as far as my own like aspirations or a games team, I don't have any.
gotcha. Well, I mean, and as long as you're able, I mean, keeping up with what the team that you have there and all the different other coaches that you have there, definitely going to keep you in fighting shape for sure.
For sure. That's actually been one of the biggest transitions away from competing, or one of the biggest not obstacles but just changes that came with not having a structured training schedule every day. One, it's awesome, there's a ton of freedom, right?
Yeah,
Two, the base is big enough that I've had like 6 or 8 years of double sessions, tons of volume, peaking multiple times, to where I can maintain a lot of that now on a lot fewer sessions, like way less time in the gym. But I love being in the gym. And so for me, I finished last season and I went in the other direction. I was like, I don't want to be in the gym. I'm going to eat whatever I want. I'm going to do whatever I want. And I went really far down that road to the point where I'd met some new people at like the end of the summer because we were doing this thing in Europe. And one of them was like, hey, I was on your Instagram last night. Like, what happened to your abs? And somebody next to me was like, hey, that's mean. And I was like, no, that's 100% true. There's like a bunch of photos of me on there and I've got abs and I'm standing in front of you and I look really different from
yeah,
what I looked like in those photos. And so I told him, I was like, man, I just went the complete other way and I'm totally cool with it. Like
yeah,
that moment, I was like, yeah, no, I'm 100% aware. And if that had been said to me like 9 months earlier or a year earlier, I would have been really bummed. But I was totally aware of the fact that like I had gotten far away from it. And then since then, I've come back around to now so I had no schedule, no structure, and I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm done with that. Like
yeah,
I like training and I started competing in CrossFit in the first place because I enjoyed training and structure and like all of the things that come along with training for a sport. And so I've gone back to being relatively structured in my day to day. And
hmm,
I'm probably the least anal person that you've met, but I like the structure of my day. And so recently this summer, I've been training every day at 7 a.m. So train from 7 to 9 or 7 to like 8:45 and then work after that. And it's great
gotcha.
to have it done. I come in and I'm like, well, I'm not going to condition today. I'm just going to fill that time with bodybuilding instead. And I have I wrote, me and my buddy here, Josh works for HWPO as well, but we wrote ourselves a little program to follow for the summer. And so we've just been following that program, but some days we'll come in and be like, not feeling that. Let's switch it up.
Yeah,
And so it's been cool, but it's been a really big transition to get to that point where like you can have structure again without having any actual end goal. Because there'd been like little periods during the last say 18 months where I've tried to implement some structure and have just kind of been like, I don't feel like it, because there was nothing at the other side of it. Like I didn't have something holding me accountable. So I've gotten back to a place where I'm like, no, I just want to work out. Like I want my squat to go up a little bit purely for the sake of wanting that.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing about the freedom of training, like how you want to now, and not, okay, so I know coming up at the games or at semifinals, this might come up. So I need to make sure I'm, doing my crossovers, making sure
Yeah.
I'm, doing all these different little, things that you may not be interested in doing at all. But you know that if it comes up at a competition, you're gonna have to be able to do it.
It's
That
let
being
me
s
experiment too, like where before I'd want to run programs because I'd been coaching the whole time that I had been also competing.
Mhm.
And I'd be like, I want to run this progression, but like I don't want to mess with my own training because it's not necessarily what I need. Like right now, we're running a squat progression, and it's the last thing from a weakness perspective that I need to be working on.
Yeah.
Like there are 100 other things that I need to work on before my squats. I probably shouldn't, but we're running this progression to see if it works, and it's a ton of fun. And I wouldn't have done that if I was trying to compete.
Yeah, I mean, I love squat gains. Like
Yeah,
those are the best, man. They just throw some weight on there and make it
and have
happen.
some fun.
Have some fun, you take out the big boy weights. Those are, so, but you also have to, I'm assuming at some point, work on some of the things that you are having to translate down to the other athletes, the
Yep.
athletes that you're training and things like that. So is there still some of that where you're having to, okay, what could possibly come up? What am I going to need to work on them with? What am I going to need to learn about to kind of get them in that direction?
Yeah, there is. And when I do that is when, sorry, I'm just plugging in my laptop.
No, you're good.
Is when at the beginning of their sessions, they'll do a lot of skill work. And so I do find myself jumping in on some skill sessions with them when I'm trying to coach it because I'm like, you know what? I actually don't really know what you're feeling right now. So let me try it
Yeah.
and then I'll better articulate it. Specifically with skill stuff, a little less with some of the other CrossFit movements. Or things that we see pop up. What I have been doing with them is like I mentioned earlier, I went cycling with them yesterday
Mhm.
because I'm comfortable on a bike and have a little bit of an idea there. So I can help in that situation. I went trail running with them the other day at this local trail running race. One, because I like it. Two, it's helpful to just kind of run through there and be like behind Cat and say, all right, go fast down this hill, push up this hill,
Yeah.
look at that rock that's coming up in about 100 feet. Like decide where you're going to put your feet. Those things work well.
That's not the same place where Jason got lost in the
No,
in the butter in the buttery
no.
brisket.
But you know what? In fairness, I was really harsh on them for that. I went and I went and walked the full loop that they had done
Uh-huh.
again because I had walked it like a week earlier, and so I was like, "How did you mess this up?" And I walked it with them, and Kat kind of pointed out we were just going for like a nature walk because it's a nature
Yeah.
preserve.
A beautiful
And
area.
Kat, it's a beautiful area, and Kat was like, "This is where we got lost. That's where we got lost." And each one, I was like, "Yeah, that's fair. I could see it."
Gotcha. Just don't do it at the games and count all your laps. That's the
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the that's the big one at the games. Um, Anything you're looking forward to this year? They've announced two now, two events, sort of. They've announced a 5K cross country, and they've announced a version of Helen. Anything
Yeah.
you're looking forward to with that, or anything that you were like, "Ooh, this is gonna be good."
I've never been like one who enjoys taking part in the like guessing game
Uh-huh.
of events or any of that. Maybe because I'm not good at it, but
Same.
mostly because I just couldn't. I just when I was competing, like I couldn't be bothered. I would have an idea and be like, I should train for this and this, but it wasn't fun to guess. But with that said, that diagram they posted where it's like it's the Venn diagram with the three
Yeah.
circles and they overlap to become CrossFit. I think that's kind of a cool idea and says a lot about where they're going with the programming,
Yeah.
which is to say, like, hey, we're going to very definitively have these single modality tests, and then the other ones are going to be very much CrossFit. which I think will be a cool kind of ethos around this year's game. Because a lot of people like, oh, well, Bosman was a circus guy, so he's going to put all this stuff in. And it's like, yeah, he will probably. But seeing that diagram makes me hopeful that we'll have really balanced programming this year.
Yeah, and I hope so as well. I want to be focused on the athletes and what they're doing on the field and not have to be focused on, oh, but if the programming didn't do something like this, it would have been, better with this. Like, I don't want the
And
programming to be the topic. I want the athletes to be the topic.
I think the case there though is that like the programming's always going to be the topic in our
Yeah.
sport, right? In football, of course it's not, right? Because it's a different sport, but the program stays the same every time. They're playing the same game all the time. So there's a bunch of other things to talk about, but for us, programming is a really central point to what we do, and people like to geek out on it. And so if the programming was perfect, first of all, nobody would ever say that. But second, say it just came out and everybody agreed on it and it was perfect, we'd all be like, I feel like something was missing from this season. We didn't have anything to like complain about on the programming side of things or dissect. So I kind of like the debate around programming. That said, silly things that like hurt the athletes from a points perspective or physically, I'm not a fan of. Like,
Well,
there are definitely things that we could see that could mess them up. But on the whole, I think the programming kind of just lands where it is, and then we have interesting talking points, and the athletes have interesting stories.
Yeah, and we're always going to debate the programming and what comes in and comes of it. But I agree with you as far as like the silly stuff. It's like Tia getting tripped up on a single under. It's like that's what we're talking about as opposed to, hey, this test and these athletes performing and things like that. So you're a New England guy. You know
through and through.
So who are your sports teams? I know we were talking about my little record back here. So that is actually it's the band Boston.
Okay.
And it's actually cut out in the state of Massachusetts with the Boston, logo thing right there, or
that's
with like
awesome.
a star. Yeah, with a star, right on Boston. But it's the actual Boston record. So
that's cool. You can't see that from here.
Yeah, no, so you can just see the state, but it is actually Boston. And then below, I'm doing this backwards because I have my screen flipped, is Chicago, which is where my wife's from.
Okay.
My wife is from that area, the Rockford, Illinois area. So we kind of got the two records, there. But so who are your sports team? What do you follow? Kind of, what are you into with the New England sports?
Not a single one.
None of them.
Genuinely, there is not a single sport that I follow at all.
Nice.
Other than CrossFit,
of course.
But other than that, yeah, no. There's no sports that I follow.
No allegiance. No, like, I mean, allegiance, but you know what I mean? No, football or baseball or anything like that.
No.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I never got into it. Like, my mom was into it growing up. My dad was not. I just never got on board.
Sometimes I wish I wasn't, because it's glutton for punishment, depending on what team. Like Boston, I think, is the worst baseball team or the worst team in the East. They're still like the 7th best team in all of MLB, but they're the worst team.
The worst team in the East.
Worst team in the East right now.
I've tried in the past. I've tried to follow I've tried to follow cycling, mountain biking, like even those. I'm not interested in following. I follow CrossFit because it serves my job and serves the athletes better. But other than that, yeah, I don't follow any sports.
Yeah, and with CrossFit, you're part of the. You're part of the. The sphere.
Right.
You're part of that world. It is what you do. So what are some other things that you enjoy outside the gym? Music or hobbies or things like that?
Yeah, I mean, like everybody, I love music. I don't play any. I've tried to learn guitar before, and so I know some chords, but I'm not very musical.
Same. I DJ, so I play other people's music and put it together in weird combinations to make it,
I mean, I would argue that that's musical. I don't even have that necessarily, but I enjoy music. And then outside of the gym, my main things are like photography,
Oh, cool.
cooking, and then I enjoy. This is probably why I don't follow sports. Like I really enjoy reading and movies and shows, not just like passively watching TV, but I really like shows and cinema and kind of that.
Nice. So anything that you're watching now, or do you not have time right now,
I
or
finally started The Bear.
yes.
It's so good.
It is so good, and melding 2 of your passions,
Yeah.
watching TV and also and also
Oh man,
cooking.
that show is like so well shot. The style that everybody's got.
Mhm.
It's become. I was reading an article the other day on it. It's become like this style show for super style nerds.
Huh.
Like people watch it to get glimpses of the set design and like people's costume design.
Yeah, it's just so well done. I think we binge watched, like, me and my wife watched the 1st season, like, I think in one night. Like, I think we just sat and just watched, like, every episode, and then we got to season 2, and I think we, had to take a break, but we'll get back to watching it. But it was such a well done show, and the actors, each one has such a strong story that,
Yes,
although you have your main guy, like, everybody is just fits in so well.
they do, and I appreciate the fact that it's only like 25 minutes
Yeah.
and it's still shot really well. It's a good show. Like I feel most shows now are these hour-long marathons
Yeah.
on Netflix. So you watch 5 episodes and you're like, "Oh, that was 5 hours
Yeah.
of TV that I just watched." And so The Bear is nice. You can turn it on and like do an episode before bed, and it's not a crazy amount of time.
Gotcha. Any movies or things that do you follow any of the franchises or any of the big stuff, or do you like kind of more independent things?
No, I think now that we're talking about this, I don't really follow anything that from like I don't even know how to describe this from like the characters, right? So
Mhm.
like for example, I get really really into things, but I get into the thing a lot. So like with cooking, I've always cooked. Like when I was 8, my Christmas gift was a knife set. Like that's what I asked for.
Nice.
And so I just really enjoy it. But even then, like there's no chefs that I follow. I just cooking the thing itself is what I enjoy. I think I'm a bad follower of spaces that I'm not like actively truly involved in. But that
Sure.
said, Chadrick, who's here for the summer, he's our video guy. Him and I and Josh are going down this weekend to Providence, Rhode Island, to watch Oppenheimer.
Oh, yes.
And Providence is 4 hours away, and we're
Yep.
going solely. It's home for me, but we're going solely because there's an IMAX theater there that plays it in the way that it's shot, that it's supposed to be watched, which was not my idea. It was Chadrick's. He was like, "There's like 15 theaters in the United States that do this. One
Yeah.
is in Providence. You know Providence. We have a place to sleep. Let's go down there." And so we're doing this mission down there to see it.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's definitely one on my list to watch this year. It looks like it's just going to be incredible. The cast is phenomenal. The lead, um, Killian Murphy,
Hmm.
is fantastic. If you want another good show, even though it is like an hour long episodes, Peaky Blinders,
I've seen every episode.
love it. I love it.
Yeah.
he he's an amazing actor. So I'll sit and watch that, anytime. And I'll even go back to the first season and just, come back through it again just because it's just that good and
It's
so
that
well
good.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like things that are done well. That being said, I also sit down and watch WWE, which is crazy ridiculous stories. So
Yeah, just
but
out there, just
yeah,
wildly out there.
just out there wild. But I love stories that are put together, which is probably why I like how, when they do the documentaries with CrossFit and things, I love watching those sorts of things, like that behind the scene, how all this stuff comes together, how people, kind of got from point A to point B, what all went into it, what was the things you didn't see. Like I love kind of the making of, and like I'm big into like history shows and stuff like that. So
Yep.
like I'll go back and watch all history. Like one we were just talking about the other day was Hunting Hitler, which
Mhm.
is with Tim Kennedy and a few other guys, where they go into South America and see how all the Germans left after World War II and moved to South America. And there's a possibility that Hitler didn't actually even die in Germany by
Oh,
committing
that's the
suicide.
premise of the show?
That's kind of the premise of the show, is that, he may have not died in Germany. He may have escaped and gone to South America. And, of
Interesting.
course, he's dead now, obviously because
Right.
of how long, but could have, possibly lived on in South America. So I like
Wow.
conspiracies too.
Yeah,
So,
you're a little into it. I mean, they're fun to watch, especially
oh yeah.
shows like that are fun.
Yeah. So, diving into things like that, so I like good TV that you can not really escape to, but that you can sit and that you can watch and just kind of, you know,
Get into.
get
Yeah.
into and get a story from. And I like it when the series is already over so that I don't have to wait because I'm
You can
very
watch all of
impatient.
it.
Yeah. Like I'll sit and watch the whole season 2 of The Bear and just
Yeah.
watch it all at once. But yeah. So you guys are doing that next weekend or
This weekend.
or this weekend going
Well,
down to,
yeah, this weekend in a few
yeah.
days.
And then because you guys are going to be heading out to Madison soon. So when do you guys head out
The
there?
following weekend. Yeah, so Saturday, the 29th, I'll head out to Madison.
Okay. So this came up with O'Keefe. Do you or are you going to be getting the HWPO tattoo?
No.
No. Do you have any
No.
tattoos?
I have one here,
Gotcha.
but that's it. Yeah.
He was talking about, all the people with HWPO tattoos and that they're gonna, have the booth
Sammy's
and
made a rule that our staff's not allowed to get it.
oh, okay.
It's a half joking rule. Like, I guess
Yeah.
if you argued, you could totally get it. I wouldn't get it anyways.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
O'Keefe's trying to get me to do it. I'm like, I don't know, man.
Do you have a lot of tattoos?
Oh, so I've got like,
Okay.
but it's all like all of it's meaning stuff.
Yes. I
So
have a
like,
buddy, everybody has this buddy who's got like just everything's tattooed. And so
yeah,
you could go to him and be like, yo, get this tattoo. And he'd be like, put it here.
yep,
And if I had that, I would 100% get the tattoo. Just like shove it in there somewhere and be like, look at this. Because then at that point, I feel like your whole body's a story. And so you're like, look at this one. Yeah.
yeah.
You just have that arm?
So I have this arm, and then I have one on my leg. My wife and I, for our anniversary, we went and got. Well, I don't want to say matching tattoos because like we didn't necessarily get matching tattoos, but they're both Harry
They're
Potter.
complimentary.
They're complementary, so they're both
Yeah.
Harry Potter tattoos. Another nerd thing that
Is
I'm
that
into
something
is
that you guys are into together?
yes. So we don't do the names or anything like that. But like everything has meaning. So like all my tattoos on my arm are time related. So it's
Okay.
like there's clocks. Each clock is set to the time. Each clock is time is the date that each child was born.
Oh, that's cool and very
Yes.
meaningful.
So it all has meaning. And then like even the Harry Potter tattoo, because we're both into Harry Potter, I got the Deathly Hallows on my leg and she got a wand on her arm. And she got the Elder Wand, which they match, but they're different.
Right.
So we know what they mean, but not everybody knows what they mean. Kind of that whole thing.
Yeah, I think
So
that's special.
yeah. So to do anything else is like, yeah, it'd be cool to support, but I don't know.
Yeah.
O'Keefe is like, come on, man, we'll get you a seat. We'll get you a seat right there. You can get a tattoo. Like,
You can. I won't pressure, but you could. It's an
But
option.
that being said, there's a lot of people from that interview that have like jumped on the feed and they're like, "Oh, we're doing it. We're there. Send me the sign up
Yeah.
now." Like we're ready to go. Um, what is and you guys are going to be crazy busy anyways with are you going to be working in the I don't want to say tent in
Booth.
the booth?
I don't have any booth time scheduled. I'll probably go over there when I'm free. I'm coaching some classes at Big Dane though,
Okay.
the Go Walk Gym, in the beginning of the week. So I'll be there, and then once Thursday hits, I'm all with Jayson.
All with Jayson, cool. Actually, just got his card from Wad Zombie, so I'm gonna have to hit him up and be like, "Hey, Jayson, we need you to go ahead and sign this."
This playing card, I need some of those.
Let me know. I'll get him. I'll get you some. Watt Zombie, he and I go back and forth, but he's done a lot of them. A lot of the playing cards, and he's always trying to get him out there and,
Get them
get
out
new
there.
stuff.
Yeah.
So, when you get to the event, obviously you're working with Jayson. Anything you're looking forward to, just kind of throughout the week, or is it just kind of being like, hey, whatever Jayson needs, like it's all
Yeah, I'll be
it's all
honest,
him.
I'm pretty low key. That's the most stressful week of the year, solely from the perspective of that you care about how Jason's doing, right? I care about how he's going to do, but also just it's hectic. So
Yeah.
you'll finish an event, the next event time won't necessarily be posted yet, and so you've got to run back, make sure that you know when the next event is, because it could be in an hour, it could be in 4. You have a rough idea of the schedule, but with the way the games goes, they'll often throw stuff at you that you're not sure. So you've just got to constantly be listening to make sure you don't miss something.
Yeah.
And so it's hectic on that front, but I am really excited for the last day of competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been really cool to see how he's evolved. Jayson has really kind of evolved as a CrossFit competitor. I don't want to say an athlete because he's always been an athlete, but as a CrossFit competitor, he's really evolved. I know he had a lot of there were a lot of high expectations, I think possibly unfairly put on him his,
First year.
his rookie season.
Yeah.
Where, he came out, he smashed the Mac, I think it was. Smashed the Mac, and everybody's like, oh yeah, he's gonna come out and he's gonna win this whole thing, and struggled because a semifinal is nothing like the CrossFit Games.
No.
But it's cool to see him evolve and to see him at semis this year. He looked really good. He looked really good going into that. And obviously with all the other background stuff that you guys are going to be working on, I'm sure he's looking to put in a good showing this year.
His abilities are higher, of course, right? But the biggest change as an athlete that I hope other people see, but we especially see, is that he is just a different person on the competition floor now. He's much more aware. He's much more composed. He's really intentional, and those were not things that he was at first.
Yeah. How much trash talk is there in the gym?
So
with
much.
You guys?
So much.
And is it coaches and athletes, or is it just like everybody back and forth?
Everybody, all of us are. You know that you can qualify it all as trash talk in the sense that you're like, I'm going to beat you in this, I'm going to beat you in that. There's just a lot of messing with each other. We mess with each other relentlessly. There's a lot of betting going on too. Jayson loves to make $1 bets.
I saw that on the most recent Buttery Bros episode.
Yeah, there's a lot of entertainment going on, especially around Jayson. Jay is a funny dude.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so right now, who all do you have on site, for the athletes?
So on site right now, we've got Jayson, Katrin, Jake Douglas from Australia, and Rogan Dean from Australia. And so he's from New Zealand. He's a New Zealander. He's living in Australia. He's from, it's an important point.
Which one is Jake?
Rogan.
Okay. Yeah.
And then throughout the summer, we've had some other folks kind of come in and out. But those are the 4 people that we've got full-time here. And we've got Stephen Fawcett, who runs our pro program and is competing as a master's.
Okay. And how many athletes are going to the games representing HWPO this year?
So Katrin, Amanda, Sam Quant.
Okay.
Are kind of the main ones. And then we've also got Christine Kohlenbrander came out. Mm-hmm. She was in that Buttery Bros episode. We've been working with her a bit. She's going out. Jake Douglas is going out. And then please, people listening, forgive me. There's a couple of others that I am blanking on, but they're not ones that I work directly with.
Gotcha. And you got
Cole Greasaber. Greasaber's going out. Yeah.
Nice. And so obviously we're, like we said, we're 14 days away. So is it kind of now it's going to be starting to, everything's going to start to taper off and kind of fine tune some things and get everybody on point and ready to go for Madison?
So everybody, this is where training always differs a little bit for everybody, but this is where it gets really different. So like some people, we bet like Steve Fawcett, he's backed way, 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 way off already.
Mm-hmm.
Other folks like Katrin have not. It depends a lot on what makes them confident, what their ability is like. So I've had people in the past where a taper would have better served them, like a longer taper with less volume would have served them better, but mentally it would have hurt them.
Gotcha.
And they had a bit of capacity to lose. I know that's a crazy thing to say, but they had like a little bit that I was like, all right, if you're not 100%, but you're 93% and confident, that's going to be better than physically 100% and like 80% confident.
Yeah.
So it's a really delicate game, and people talk about peaking as though it's like kind of magical and that there's this specific scientific formula and like all these things happen, and then you come out and you're like better than you ever were. But really, it's year over year. You need to figure out what works for you, or competition over competition.
Awesome. And as far as the, going into this week, what kind of things do you do kind of keep them loose? Like, do you gotta just kind of go into the gym, just, I don't want to say play games, because that sounds, almost childish, but just kind of like go in and keep them moving, but just have fun with it. And
For
just have
sure.
a
We've
couple.
got the basketball hoop here, so we'll play a little bit of basketball. We went out on that, like, they normally do a zone 2 ride, like a C2 bike last night, but I mentioned we went out on that cycle. So we went out and rode bicycles for a while, which serves two purposes, right? They need to touch the bikes anyways, because it's like they show up at the games, but also it's just different. It gets them out moving in a different way. Like, they're all familiar being on a bike, so it's not necessarily dangerous. Trail running, a lot of these things are built in when we're training for the games. Like, you get to get outside more, you get to practice on some things that you wouldn't otherwise, and it's still a necessary part of your training, but it's also a little more fun than just beating your head against the burpees.
Gotcha.
And then during the downtimes, make an effort to, like, Jayson, myself, Josh, Matt, like any guy that's in town, we have guys night once a week. We go out and get wings and just hang out. So we make an effort to like make sure that happens, and then we'll go in there and play basketball and just kind of mess around.
Cool. And almost done, with this, but I wanted to get into your music. You would, so who controls the music at the gym? And then if you are the DJ of the day, what does your playlist look like?
Well, we've got a really, really pirate style system now, because most gyms that I've been a part of, like, there's kind of one central iPod or whatever that's connected to the music. So you have to physically walk up and change it, and everybody can see that you did it. Our system we have here now, you can just be on your Spotify, click listen on device, and then choose the gym. So anybody at any moment can just take over. So there's been a lot of that. They're in the gym so much for so long that there's a lot of Metcons that I'll walk in. I'm in my office right now. I'll go in, and they just won't, like, either the music will be so low that you can barely hear it, or they just won't even have any on.
Yeah.
Oftentimes. But you can tell who is controlling the music, especially with like Jayson and Katrin. So if Jason's got it on, he's got on country music 95% of the time.
Okay.
If Katrin's got it on, she's got on like 80s dance to Barbie Girl to like top 40 pop, but it's always very like, poppy.
Yeah.
Jason's very country, and then everybody else is kind of in between, but those two will trade back and forth.
Gotcha. So,
and then if Mal was
yeah,
here,
I can only imagine that power struggle between, country and Barbie Girl.
Oh yeah, I mean they do a good job trading off. They've learned to train together for sure.
Yeah. And then if you have control, what's your go-tos? What's your go-to?
Depends
playlist?
on my mood. So if we're just kind of slowly making our way through a session, I'll put on some like Zach Bryan type country, Tyler Childers, Zach Bryan, that style. Where Jayson is like Morgan Wallen, Jason Aldean, that kind of style.
Yeah.
So it's either some slower country, which I've grown to like a lot.
I was gonna say, which a
Or
whole bunch of people in country, or a whole bunch of people not in country music are like, that's the same thing. So,
right, and they're
those are the same thing. No, they're clearly not the same.
very much not the same
Yeah.
thing. So I'll put on that, or I'll put on rap, like 2000s rap,
Oh yeah.
or I'll put on like alternative rock pretty frequently. And then I've got like a whole other subset that I kind of lump everybody in. So you may or may not know these. You're a DJ, so you probably will. Like Alabama Shakes,
Yep.
Lake Street Dive, Camp,
Yeah.
all of that kind of, the Black Pumas, all of that kind of style of music I'll have
Yeah.
as well, which I don't listen to as frequently when I'm training.
Anything you put on that everybody was just like, absolutely not. No, we've got
Spanish music,
Spanish.
typically. Yeah,
Yeah.
like if it's the kind of mainstream songs, yeah,
Yeah.
but if it's anything that's like really kind of like reggaeton, they are
Yeah.
not as into it.
Which is hilarious because half of my gym that I go to is Spanish.
Okay.
So a lot of times we'll go in there and it's a lot of music. I have no idea what's being said or what's I have no idea what's on right now, but okay, we'll just move to
And
it. You know,
that's everybody's
the
thing here.
4:30 p.m. class is the Spanish class.
Yeah.
But yeah, they paired me on a team. So we did a Saturday workout, and we did, on Saturdays we do team workouts. So they'll put 2, 3, 4 people together, and they put me together with 3 other people that speak Spanish. 2 of them speak English fine, but the person, we were kind of going in like a waterfall system. So like one person
Yep.
would go. So I think one person was resting, one person was working, and 2 people were doing something static. So like 2 people were holding the deadlift, one person's resting, the other person's doing sit-ups, and then they get done with sit-ups. That person gets up and goes to the and moves. The person who's resting goes to sit-ups, and it just trickles around.
Yeah.
But the person I was following was the one person who didn't speak hardly any English. So she's counting and saying things in Spanish, and they're looking at me like, where are we? As far as in the count. I'm like, I
don't
have
know.
no idea. Why did you put me here?
Yeah.
Why didn't one of you follow her? I have no idea what she's saying right now.
Wow, no clue.
Yeah. But I'm also now the rep. So on my day job, I actually sell glasses for a luxury eyeglass company, and I'm the rep for the entire state of Florida. So yeah, and Florida's a big state.
Yeah.
Like from where I am, 5 hours to the Panhandle and another 4 hours to Miami. But I'm like right in the middle.
Right.
So when I go to Miami, there's offices that I walk into, which is kind of the same thing. So I'm thinking about actually getting like a Rosetta Stone and just put it in my car and just learn, because I'm on the
Just
road
learn
for
your Spanish.
yeah.
Babbel is a really good app.
Oh,
for learning
okay.
Spanish or any language, but
yeah, I'll have to look it up because I'm on the road for 4 to 8 hours a day. So I'm usually driving. So put that on. Right now I'm listening to Hamilton by Ron Chernow.
okay.
So the book that inspired the
play.
The play.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to that right now. But anyways, man, Jake, I'm looking forward to seeing you in Madison.
Yeah, you as well, Wex.
Meeting you in person. I'll come by the booth for sure, and I'll be in the press pit at some point. I'm volunteering the first 3 days, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I'm press the rest of it.
For the rest. Awesome.
Definitely have to hook up, say what's up, and look, safe travels in everywhere you're going, because you're doing Providence.
Yeah, we're all over the place.
You're doing Providence this weekend, and then to the games.
Yeah. Thank you, Wex. Thank you for having me. That was an awesome conversation.
No problem, man. Thanks.